Hi, I'm Dr. Abhidan Shah, and I'm excited and honored to be one of the featured leaders on Pray.com. It's a privilege to be part of a platform dedicated to encouraging and strengthening people in their faith. Our mission at Clearview Church is to lead all peoples into a life-changing, ever-growing relationship with Jesus Christ. And so, I'll be on Pray.com sharing biblical insights, devotionals, and messages that I hope will inspire and challenge you to live out your faith with confidence. Whether you're seeking wisdom, encouragement, or a deeper understanding of Scripture, I'm looking forward to seeing you all on Pray.com. Download the Pray.com app right now and join this incredible community of believers with me. Together, we will grow closer to God and strengthen one another through His Word. And don't forget to support Pray.com by sharing it with your friends and family.
You're listening to Clearview Today with Dr. Abhidan Shah, the daily show that engages mind and heart for the gospel of Jesus Christ. I'm Ryan Hill.
I'm John Galantis. Welcome to the Clearview Today studio. Happy Friday to everybody who has stuck with us throughout the week. We appreciate you being here. We got a great conversation lined up for you guys today. But first, before we do anything else, we got to welcome our host with the most, Dr. Abhidan Shah. Welcome to the show. Happy Friday, my friend.
Happy Friday to you guys.
Friday.
What a busy week. So much going on, so much happening in the church family, so much happening in our community, and then, of course, in our own personal family. We had graduation coming up, so...
I should have saved the applause for Thomas.
Yeah.
I'll give him some air horns, too.
Our youngest son is graduating, and what is very interesting is that marks the end of a 25-year era.
Wow.
Of nothing but schools.
No more kids in at least high school.
High school.
Wow.
So, or school for that matter. Because it all began in 2000 when Rebecca, who is our oldest one, began kindergarten.
Wow.
That's crazy.
And that's the same year I also started my PhD.
Wow.
In New Testament textual criticism. That's the same year I went into teaching because... the school zone that we were in was having a really difficult time. I mean, it was not good at all. And so we had some church members whose family was on the Board of Education and a lot of powerful people. And they came to me and said, what if we get Rebecca into this charter school that started last year, which was 1999, but they need a math and science teacher. Would you consider teaching? Because we know we've heard that you have a degree in math and science. And I said, yes, I'll do it. Knowing the whole time that I'll do it means I'm also starting my PhD.
Right.
And I'm already pastoring this church. I'm also working part-time at the seminary painting. It's going to be a busy year.
Yeah.
A lot.
So I stopped painting because, of course, working at the school, I was able to get income from that, so I didn't have to travel down to the seminary to paint. But it was a very, very tough time.
I can imagine so. And so school has been a huge part of your life ever since the year 2000.
Ever since 2000. I mean, this is before 2001. This is before September 11th.
Wow. So you get your PhD in 2019.
Right.
And then...
I had to sort of, for those of you who are like, what, wait a minute, you started in 2020. I had to back away for a season because...
you're building a church.
Building a church. I was also a principal of a Christian school. And then this church began to grow. Our family was growing. So there's a lot was happening. I had health problems. So, in fact, in 2000, when I started my PhD work, I could tell there was something wrong with my back. And I thought I had back trouble, but I didn't have back trouble. I had a tumor in my spinal column. And so that was pushing against the nerves and causing a lot of pain, which was very similar to a back problem.
What year was this? How deep into the teaching era was this?
So I began in 2000. In my PhD program. I came as a pastor of Clearview Church in 1999, began my PhD in 2000. Same year, Rebecca was starting kindergarten in August.
Right.
And so I agreed to work in the school system teaching math and science. So all this was at one time.
Right.
Wow.
So sometimes I will push people at our staff or volunteers like, hey, we can do this. It's not coming from an unrealistic place. It's coming from a place like I've done it.
Right.
Trust me, you have more in you than you realize. Now, you cannot stay that way forever. That's why in our church, we're focusing a lot on volunteer ministry and getting people to take over certain aspects so you can do the big things, the big ideas. But yeah, there's a whole lot more in us sometimes than we realize.
Yeah.
That's a great point. And even the picture of I'm going to start this, but then I've got to back away for various reasons for a particular season. But I'm going to come back and I'm going to hit it hard. I'm going to finish my PhD.
Right.
I mean, that in and of itself is a beautiful trajectory as an example.
That has given me a lot of encouragement over the years because I've been working on my undergrad since 2010. And it's 2025 right now, just having to do it one or two classes per semester.
But you have to remember what environment you're in and who is influencing you, impacting you. If it's someone like me, then I do understand the value and the place for temporarily backing away, but coming back in strong. I do that. Now, there are other people, other places who are like, hey, if you don't get it done now, you'll never get it done.
Yeah.
You might as well get it done. You better get it over with because once you... No, that's not how I think.
Right.
I think of it more as sometimes you have to make a little bit of adjustment and back away from certain things so you can fully focus on other things. But,
That's true.
But the thing you backed away from is never gone.
Right.
You're going to come back to it. And so if you are in an environment like that, which I believe you are at Clearview, then you will finish what you start because I will talk to you about that.
Yeah,
I will
absolutely.
encourage you. Think about Nicole, my wife, while we're talking about education. She began her bachelor's the same year I did in 1991. And then, of course, in 1994, she sort of backed away. We had our first child, so she was like, I'm going to take a break right now.
Right.
I'm going to focus on building our home, which is our family, really, and raising our children. And so I said, okay, that's fine. And then she, of course, I got called in the ministry, moved up here, and she had to sort of work. Kind of custodial work is what she did. Nicole did that in the year 1996, 97. So anyways, so all this was going on. And then a lot of other things happened in our lives, churches growing, teaching at the Christian school, all these things. Going back to school was next to impossible. And at one point, she even tried. She tried to come. I'm not going to mention the name of the school because I like the school, but that was a very difficult because they kept on finding one thing after another to
keep her from enrolling.
keep her from enrolling. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I hate to.
Were you in North Carolina at this point?
Yes.
Okay.
But the
Not in
school is
Georgia.
not in North Carolina.
Got you.
It's in another
so she was
place.
going online
She was trying to do online
in
and
the 90s.
No, this was in 2000.
Got you. Okay.
This was in 2010.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right.
And just could not seem to get this university to really get her going.
Wow.
I mean, this was a 2-3 year process of back and forth. She started school, had to drop out. It was crazy. Anyways,
Goodness.
so now we are in the year 2000, and it was like, 1999. What do we do now? I was finishing up my PhD. I said, Nicole, it's time to go back and do your bachelor's. Finish your bachelor's. She's like, no, I'm going to wait. There's so much happening. I was like, no, you're going to start this fall. You're going to start this fall.
This is in 2019.
2019, the same year I was graduating with my PhD. And she started. And believe it or not, she finished in 2022.
She did, man. I remember she really to be in the season of life that she really hit that bachelor's hard.
did.
Absolutely. In 2022, she finished it. So it began in 2019, 20, 21, 22. She finished in 3 years.
And I want to say that because it really encouraged me to watch her do it.
Yeah.
She alleviated a lot of the, I don't want to say embarrassment or shame. I didn't really feel that, but I was watching like kids fresh out of high school within 4 years get their bachelor's. Get their bachelor's degree and just move on. And I was like approaching my 30s and still didn't have it.
But here's the interesting part. It's not over.
Yeah.
Because in 2023, I told her, she said, I want to take a break. and I don't know if she took a break or not.
I think she took a semester.
Maybe a
semester break. I said, "You're going back for your master's." She said, "I don't know about that." If you know my wife, she said, "I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I'm not." It's like, you're gonna get your master's. You need to do your master's. Your parents would be proud. Her dad is in heaven now, but I said, "But I'm sure your family's gonna be proud. You need to do your master's." And guess what? This Saturday, the same day that our son is graduating from his high school, Nicole is graduating with her master's.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
She's glad she did it,
I
didn't she?
love it.
Yes.
That's good.
But here's what I told her now.
You got
She has to go
get
back.
your doctorate.
She has to go back and get a doctorate. She's like, no. I draw the line.
I'm drawing
there.
the line right there. She's been saying a lot.
I said, you can take a year break. I'm taking 2 years break. I'm like, we'll see.
Y'all do it together because you're going to try to for your second.
Yeah, I'm going to
PhD,
go for
right?
my second
Bro,
PhD.
go
I said,
for it together.
you take a year break, but then you're going back. One of my goals is for all of y'all to go back and maybe get your doctorate, get your master's, get your doctorate, whatever, and do those things.
Absolutely.
But to rush and get it done now, you can. What are you achieving?
I agree. And it's also kind of funny. Ellie was talking to Nicole last night. She said, I feel like there's sort of a handing of the baton happening because the same year that Nicole is graduating, Thomas is graduating, you guys are like, okay, school accomplished. Gavin is starting kindergarten.
I was thinking about
He's
that
starting,
too.
What's it called?
K4.
K4.
I was thinking about that too. Like Thomas is ending the school era, and then Gavin is just entering into it.
Yes.
That's
Crazy, isn't it?
School has been a big motivator for Gavin. Gavin's very motivated if you give him the right motivation. Like if he does, he's a lot like me where it's like, if this is something I don't care about, it's really hard to get any momentum going. So like he's been having some trouble with like bedwetting and like getting rid of the pull-ups altogether. And we told him, you know, if you are not potty trained, there are no pull-ups in school.
Yeah.
You're not going to school with your friend Asher.
Yeah.
You're not going to school with your friends. And he was like, what? I was like, yeah, you're not. I was like, they can't be changing pull-ups in school, buddy.
You mean to tell me?
And not an accident since. It's been like 5 weeks.
Your boys are very smart, especially Gavin.
Mm-hmm.
Gavin is very, very smart. So when you give him that kind of a reason and really work with him on that and give him that ultimatum, he will do it.
Oh yes, 100%.
If you don't, then he will make the plans for you.
yeah,
Yes, he will.
He's a situation setter. He's gonna frame the and I see a lot of myself in him. He's like, okay, I can get ahead of this if I frame the situation.
Right.
Yeah.
So while we're on the subject, so David, what's happening in your life now? You were at the college at Southeastern for some time doing your bachelor's, and then you took a little deviation.
A little bit of a hiatus, and now I am at. There's a college in Florida called Full Sail University that does all digital like media and film and stuff like that. And since that's, you know, what we do here, I decided to do that, you know, with your guidance.
How do you like it?
It's really cool. The classes are really cool. Like one class that I'm in now is called, I think it's composition is the name of it. And pretty much everything that I'm doing is stuff that I would do on a normal everyday basis. I have to send in like screenshots of a camera that I'm working with, and then I have to send in these shots that I've taken.
But a lot of things that you're doing there, you have been doing here at a more advanced level for some time, at least for this point, at least until now, right?
Yeah, at this point in time, everything that I am doing, I have done just over and over, like since coming on to Clearview and being like even an intern here. So it's right now it's really easy. It's just making time to do it. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that as I go on, there will be more stuff that I can learn because I'm by no means know everything about filming. But it's been really nice. It's been really cool.
One of the good things about working here was I remember there was a point, and Dr. Shah, I know you remember this too, where our videos, we were putting a ton of effort into setting everything up, but they just were not looking good.
Right.
And I remember we came to the decision, like, the lights just aren't good. Like, if like you can get the best camera, the best lens, the best everything, but if the lighting isn't good, Dr. Shah bought us a textbook, like the textbook on lighting and the fundamentals of lighting. And I remember David and I both read it. And ever since then, our videos, I know they're not like, I would say they're all that. Our videos look really, really excellent because we took the time and because, Dr. Shah, you invested in that education. It was one of those things where it's like, all right, YouTube videos are not going to help you guys. YouTube videos are not the answer here.
Typically, their answer is, hey, listen, guys, you don't need the fancy gears. You don't need any of that. Just do this. And then It's like, but you're doing it.
Yeah,
Right.
you've got
you
the
have
gear.
all those things.
You have all those
So explain
gears and
that.
you have all these things, but you're telling us not to do it. It's like pastors who are super successful, have big congregations and doing so many things, writing books, conferences, all that, and they tell you, it's like, hey guys, it's not about any of those things.
Do you ever see that in the field of academics? Do academics do that with each other? Or will they be honest and be like, no, it's going to take a lot of hard work and research?
Academics, there are different levels of people even there. So there are some academics who are like, I got my PhD, I'm happy, I'm at a college. It may be a community college, it may be a 4-year college. I am set, I'm an adjunct, I'm happy with what I'm doing. Then there are those who are like, I'm happy, but I'm going to start something. I'm going to do something. I'm going to start a program, or I'm going to start a special school, or if it's in the Christian academic world, and I'm going to see if we can take a mission trip and maybe start a college somewhere in an underpowered, impoverished region of the world and start something there.
Right.
Then there are those who are like, I have a great PhD. It may not be from Cambridge and Harvard and Munster or someplace like that, but it's a pretty good PhD. So I'm going to try with that to write.
Mm-hmm.
Then there are those who are like, I went to Harvard. I went to Princeton. I went to Yale. I went to Oxford, Cambridge. I went to...
Have you ever met academics like that?
Oh, yeah, I know them. Some of them are my friends now. And they're like, we are the series editors.
Yeah.
We do this, we do that. And then there are those who do go to those places and they made it, but at the same time, they're not as well-versed in starting a series and all those kind of things. So they have the degree, but they're not able to get a lot of products out of that.
I have a question, and maybe this isn't a false analogy, but I want to try to frame it correctly, and you tell me if this is kind of how it works. So, like, for me, when it comes to like worship and singing,
Yeah.
I'm not the strongest singer. I'm okay, and I've been working to get better. I've been taking lessons, and we have a coach that kind of works with me on that. But I know I will never be a naturally talented, like really superstar singer. So I work harder and try to hone my craft, not to keep up, but just because I know this is not natural. This is something I've got to work at. In the world of academics, if someone goes to Harvard or Cambridge or an Ivy League school and gets their PhD from there, do you feel like other academics who get their PhDs elsewhere, not at an Ivy League school, feel like, hey, I'm going to produce and I'm going to work harder because I don't
have that Ivy League marker.
I don't have that Ivy League marker. Or do you feel like it's the opposite, where it's like they feel like, I got my degree from Harvard, I'm good, I don't need to write anything. The PhD, the diploma, the degree from the school is enough.
All of the above. You'll see some people who went to Harvard, Cambridge, Duke, which is not an Ivy League school, but it is considered a prestigious school, and they don't publish hardly anything. But when it comes to a university, college, seminary, they love those people because it looks good on their accreditation.
Right.
So they're going to hang on to them. So in a sense, they already have tenure.
Gotcha.
Right? Because they have that PhD from that prestigious school, and it looks good for the school. Then there are those who are like, went to those schools, and man, they are productive. They produce things left and right. It's hard to talk to them. It's hard to ever get them to stop and give you an interview or 5 minutes of your time. I mean, of their time. They're not going to do that.
Right.
And I have mixed feelings about that. I get it. They're very smart and they have a lot to contribute, but you have to interact with people, and not just because you're getting some benefit out of them.
So with your professor, Dr. Robinson, has he released a lot of works, or has he released one really, really major work?
I would say one major work, but it is really major.
But you're right. It's like the work on the Greek
work.
New Testament.
So it has spawned a lot of other avenues and materials and has helped research.
Did he?
It's more. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's more like I've set the paradigm for the field instead of just here's this published work that I did.
Yeah. By doing what he did, he's allowed text critics to think outside the box. Now, some people hate it. Some people are like, that's just KJV or that's just TR, and it's not. The ones who are really text critics, they understand what Robinson is about. They may not agree with him, but they understand that this is not just TR and KJ. The ones who are ignorant or they have just basic knowledge and they're simply parroting so that somebody over there can pat them on the back and say, I like you. I like you because you're saying what I say. You hate the Byzantine text, and we all go for the critical text. So for that reason, sometimes people, it's like there's a guy in the street and that everybody hates, and then you walk up there and punch the guy. It's like, okay, all right, you're our friend now.
Yeah.
So that can happen.
Where did he get his PhD from, Dr. Robinson?
So Dr. Robinson got his PhD from Southwestern Baptist Theological Seminary in Fort Worth. But he did his THM, I believe, or Master's THM, at Southeastern.
Got it.
Southeastern in Wake Forest. But the professor at Southeastern in Wake Forest in New Testament told Dr. Robinson, I cannot supervise your PhD. Your PhD is more advanced than I can handle. But there is a professor at Duke by the name of Kenneth Clark.
Okay.
If you go to Kenneth Clark and we can set up a deal with him or this collaboration, then you can still work at Southeastern but have him as your mentor.
So he still did his PhD with someone who was from what could be considered a very, very reputable school.
Right. Kenneth Clark went to was a professor at Duke, but Kenneth Clark was got his PhD from University of Chicago.
Gotcha.
He worked under E.C. Colwell. E.C. Colwell is like the Mac Daddy of textual criticism. That's E.C. Colwell.
Wow.
So Kenneth Clark worked under E.C. Colwell.
And then Dr. Robinson worked under
Kenneth Clark. Right.
And you worked under Dr. Robinson.
Right. Yeah. But it doesn't end there. When he went to Southwestern, he did his PhD. It's all in textual criticism. He worked under James Brooks. James Brooks worked under Bruce Metzger at Princeton.
Gotcha. So there is
They're just a few steps away from these kind of giants in the field.
Right. So here you have, for his master's THM, I believe, is going back to E.C. Colwell, and for his PhD, going back to Bruce Metzger.
Wow.
So I worked under Robinson, who worked under James Brooks, who worked under Bruce Metzger.
who got his PhD from Princeton.
You're talking about Bruce Metzger? Yeah, Bruce Metzger did his PhD at Princeton, so also James Brooks got his PhD under Bruce Metzger at Princeton.
So by the transitive property, then we can say that you got your PhD from Princeton. We can the transitive property of degrees. We can say.
Well, so that is kind of what I was going to ask, and this conversation has sort of gone to really some interesting places I wasn't planning on. But how much teaching is there in the PhD process? So what I mean by that is you're presenting your dissertation to your mentor, to your professor, I guess you would say. Is that still a teaching process where he's saying, okay, now it's time for some lessons? Or is he just editing and saying, no, I wouldn't say it this way? Like how much like in a regular school setting, the teacher is teaching, I'm testing to make sure I understand what I've been taught. How is it different in a PhD setting? Because you're presenting your ideas.
In PhD setting, when you first start in the PhD program, it's assumed that you have a certain level of knowledge. That's where the PhD entrance exams come in. You should have a very good basis for it. Like if I was going into biblical studies, which is New Testament and maybe Old Testament, but let's say I'm focusing on the New Testament, and somebody comes in, or in the exam, I'm asked the question, explain the JEDP theory. Right, the various sources supposedly that went into making the Pentateuch.
Right.
I should be able to explain what JEDP is all about.
That's just base level starting the program.
Right. I should be able to talk about all that entails there.
Gotcha.
If I was asked the question, explain the synoptic problem, I should be able to then go, okay, synoptic problem, we're talking about these three gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and this is why there is supposedly a synoptic problem. I can say that. Some people will say there is a synoptic problem. And then why is it? So there are things that they agree on, then the things they don't agree on, and then there are things that are unique to each one of those books. That's a synoptic issue. They can ask me a question, explain to us the question behind the authorship of the pastorals. I should be able to explain that. Now we're talking about more specific things in my field, New Testament.
Right.
Explain the Colossian heresy. I should be able to say something. What are the various ways to interpret Revelation? I may not have all the information, but I should be able to give a good bit of it.
Are they expecting you to know all this stuff from independent study or from prior learning? Because
Both. Independent, prior, whatever.
So
Maybe it came out of your master's program. Maybe you studied for the entrance exam. Either way.
So
Is
there's
there-
an entrance exam to a PhD program.
Yes.
Is there a guide, like these are the things you ought to know?
Basic guide, but the questions are not necessarily limited to that guide.
So like if you got your master's, let's just say, I'm making this up. If you got your master's in, I don't know, culinary arts, cooking,
yeah.
and then decided you wanted to go get your PhD in textual criticism, you're setting yourself up for failure because they're going to expect that you know all this stuff.
Yeah. I would say at that point they probably will require a master's of divinity.
Got it.
I would say so.
Got it.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
makes sense.
Yeah.
So you're not going into the PhD program cold. Like you have to
Yeah.
know a bunch of stuff.
But in the yesteryears, there were people like, say, Albert Schweitzer. Albert Schweitzer, I think he had his PhD in the history of theology, I think, because he wrote a lot on that. Okay. And then he wrote on the New Testament. Then he was an accomplished musician, and I think he got some studies done in music as well.
Wow.
Then he went and got his medical degree. He became a doctor, and then moved to Africa and practiced medicine. One of the questions David asked is, what if you have a master's in something unrelated? That's sort of what he asked.
Yeah.
It depends. I don't know. That's why I'm answering that Albert Schweitzer, he ended up having like 2 or 3 different doctorates
In unrelated
Diverse.
fields.
Did he go back and like say, I'm going to get a bachelor in this, and I'm going to get a master's in this, then I'm going to get a PhD or an MD? I don't know. I don't know how that worked, but he was very good at what he did.
Yeah.
What about for you? And we're running out of time. I hate this because I'm actually really into this conversation. But with you,
Yeah.
you had your master's in biblical languages.
Yes.
Was textual criticism as a PhD related enough?
Yes, that's perfectly fine. As long as it's in the divinity field. Like I could have done my master's in comparative religion and still been able to do my master's in my PhD in New Testament.
So when you were doing those entrance exams and you were like, I'm coming in needing to have all this knowledge, was it from your master's or was it from
No.
independent study? So
I did a lot of independent study.
Gotcha.
A lot of independent study. In fact, I had students who were coming and borrowing my notes for the PhD exam.
Wow.
Yeah, I did a lot of study.
That's incredible.
I still have some of those folders. And they were like, hey, so I'm taking the exam, and I've heard that you have all these answers written out. And he's like, do you mind if I was like, nah, go for it. So I let him use my notes. I said, just don't lose it.
Yeah.
Do not lose it.
I worked hard to compile those.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote them out by hand. This is back in 1999.
Wow.
98 is when I started studying for the exam. That was in the last year of my master's. I started studying for the PhD entrance exam.
What's one way that you would, just in the 2 minutes that we have left, what's one way you would encourage our listeners from today's conversation?
I would say, but we began this conversation with, we're coming to a close of our season of taking our kids to school. And of course, Thomas is a senior. He doesn't have to be taken to school, but that's what we mean is like the
Right.
school years. What I want to encourage people is that it's never too late. If
That's
you want
right.
to go get some education, it's never too late to go finish that.
Yeah.
There are times you may have to back away, or may have to, like David is doing, going in a different direction. Does not mean that you're done with doing a bachelor's, finishing your bachelor's in divinity or in apologetics. You can still come back.
That's right.
It comes down to how you have understood God's calling on your life. And as long as that calling is there, you may have to put it away for 20 years. For goodness sakes, Moses had to put it away for 40 years. And he still went back to it.
Great point.
Wow.
Great point.
So good. Guys, write in and let us know how today's conversation encouraged you. 252-582-5028. Let us know what degree program you're enrolling in as a result of today's conversation. Thanks again to our sponsors for making today's episode possible. And don't forget that you can support us by subscribing to the show on iTunes if you want to re-listen or share it with a friend. And you can always support us financially at clearviewtodayshow.com. John, what do you want to leave our listeners with as we go into the weekend?
We are going, well, first and foremost, make sure that you're in church worshiping God this weekend. If you don't have a church family, you can join us online at clearviewbc.org at 8:30 or 11 a.m. Definitely be checking out Dr. Shah's exclusive series, Discerning Doctrine, on pray.com. If you're listening on pray.com right now and you have not followed Dr. Shah yet, we are approaching 5,000 followers. We really want to see 5,000 by the end of the week. The end of the week's already here, but I think you guys can make it happen. Also, very, very quickly, we're going live on May 23rd at 7 to 9 p.m. You can call us here as part of our 24-hour prayer vigil. You can call us at 252-582-5028. Pass that number on to your friends and family who need prayer. We'd love to pray with them on the air.
That's right. We love you guys. We'll see you Monday on Clearview Today.